Hopefully this is working, and thank you for your patience. We had a little bit of a journey earlier today. We had to go exploring for a mysterious artifact where we had to go out, explore that, and that took us a little bit longer than I expected. So that's 100% on me. I thought I'd be back by 7. I was not. But welcome to the return to Orion the Storyteller. I am your host, Orion, and despite popular belief, I am in fact a storyteller. And I am here to tell more stories once again. Now, this has been something that I have done so many times and done and redone and restarted and tried again at least 3 times. And every single time I've started, I started back in 2020 during COVID. We had a large amount of I was off work. A lot of other people were off work. Kids were starting to get a little antsy. So I provided a place for everyone to sit and enjoy and just relax, listen to stories, fairy tales, etc. And while I did that, I was very happy to create stories and tell stories to people day in, day out during that time. And then I got hit. So not necessarily by COVID itself, but I took a dive. I just couldn't handle it anymore mentally. And so I stopped doing it. And I've tried a couple times to restart it, and I was never in the best place to do it. And so I said, well, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to do live story times. I'm going to go out and I'm going to talk to people and I'm going to tell stories. So I've done it here and there. I've done it at festivals. If you followed me from New York Fairy Fest, happy to see you. I'm glad you're here. I'm here. But that was one of my big story times that I did where I was in front of people talking, and I love doing that. But I miss this. This feels weirdly personal, and you get to see all of my little Nicky Knacks in the background. You can see my let me see, there he is. You can see my BioShock creatures and Vampire Hunter D back there. That's not mine, but I do like him. I actually got confused because I'm looking at it backwards. This is Vampire Hunter D, this is BioShock. But anyway, yeah, so you get to see my nickname, you get to see my tea set back here. So you just see me in my house, and we get to enjoy story time together. So I'm happy to have you. Thank you so much for joining me. Yeah, it's been a while. So for tonight's story time, I want to give a huge shout out to Eagle Skyfire. Oh my gosh, I am so bad at that. A personal friend of mine, Eagle, who she is brilliant. And so I'll put her information in there, but I want to give her a shout out because she is a spiritualist. She's part of First Nation. She is amazing. She really knows her stuff, and I just want to spread the word about her. I'm going to put a link to her Instagram and to her YouTube channel in my chat so people can find her and follow her because she's amazing and everybody just needs to follow her. So in that spirit, I'm actually going to be telling a couple Native American stories today. One of which I actually really enjoy, and it's a story about Coyote, who I actually have right here. I do read a lot of children's books, but I do also tell a lot of fairy tales, and I do try to just share stories of different cultures. And one of the today I will be sharing this story about Coyote, whom is a trickster, as we are all aware, I hope. He's a trickster, and I think the story will tell you for itself. So let us go ahead and read Coyote, a trickster tale from the American Southwest. If there are any pictures of interest, I'll be more than happy to share them with you. Coyote. Blue Coyote. He was going along, and following his nose, he had a nose for trouble. Coyote stuck his nose into Badger's hole and got bitten. Coyote looked up and wanted to have a flaming red head like Woodpecker, but his fur caught fire. Coyote went looking for Snake, but only found trouble. Coyote was always in trouble. You can actually see the different illustrations of Coyote's troublemaking ways. Coyote came to a place where the earth meets the sky. He heard laughing and singing, and he went up to take a look. Coyote saw a flock of crows, and they were chanting, and they were dancing. Then the birds spread their wings. They flew through the air and circled the canyon. Oh, if only I could fly, said Coyote. I would be the greatest coyote in all of the world. Coyote yelled at the crows. Let me join you, he said. This foolish coyote wants to be like us, Old Man Crow said to his flock. Let's have some fun with him. Old Man Crow turned one eye towards Coyote. You may dance with us, he said. Thank you, said Coyote, but I want to fly too. Maybe you can, said Old Man Crow. Old Man Crow plucked a feather from his left wing. He told his flock to do the same. They stuck their feathers into Coyote. Coyote winced. His nose twitched. The crows chuckled. You are ready to fly, said Old Man Crow. The birds began their slow, steady chant. They hopped from one foot to the other. Coyote joined in the dance. Even though he got out of step and sang out of tune, he was very proud of himself. The crows spread their wings and soared into the sky. Coyote followed. His flight was jerky. He tilted to one side. Since his feathers were only from the left wing of each bird, he was off balance. He fell to the ground. Wait, he cried out. Don't leave me behind. The birds returned and gathered round Coyote. We must balance him, said Old Man Crow. Old Man Crow plucked a feather from his right wing. Each of his flock did the same. Coyote cringed as they stuck the feathers in his fur, and the crows cackled. Now I'm perfect, said Coyote. I can fly as well as the rest of you. Coyote had become rude and boastful. He danced out of step. He sang off key. The crows were no longer having fun. The birds again began their slow, steady chant. Coyote hopped along, flapping his feathered legs and singing sour notes. The dancers spread their wings and leapt into the air. Soon, the crows were flying high over the canyon. Coyote struggled to keep up. Carry me, he demanded. The crows circled Coyote, but they didn't carry him. Instead, they took back their feathers, one by 1. With each feather, Coyote sank through the air, further and further, before he fell straight down. He howled. Coyote fell so fast that his tail caught fire, and he fell into a pool on the mesa. Coyote crawled out of the water. He heard laughter, saw the crows flying away. Coyote ran after them, but he tripped and fell, tumbling in the dirt. Coyote went home, soaked and covered in dust. And to this day, he is still the color of dust. To this day, his tail has a burnt black tip. To this day, Coyote still follows his nose. He has a nose for trouble and always finds it. And that is the tale of Coyote. One of the many tales of Coyote. I know there are many, many different ones, and I'd love to tell more of them. But that is specifically this one. This one is written by, or at least collected by, Gerald McDermott. And I believe he illustrated it as well. So I actually do recommend it. This is actually one of my favorite little books that I have. And I'd actually, until I'd started searching for stories for today, I'd forgotten I owned it. And when I grabbed it, it was one of the ones I knew I was going to grab today. But that is sort of an overview of Orion the Storyteller. I will always be happy to tell any story that anybody wants me to. I'll even stretch my legs out at a Reddit story from here and then, if somebody really wishes me to tell you one. But I tend to stick more to fairy tales and folk tales. Speaking of which, I have a collection of different tales here. Switching continents, we're going from the American continent to Europe. I have some medieval tales that I'd actually like to share with you. This is actually one that I really do enjoy, and it's actually one of my favorites. And when they made it into a movie, I was very excited. I still have yet to see the movie, but I was still very excited when they did. I hear it's very, very good. But the story that I am going to tell you now is a personal favorite of mine, and that is Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Which is part of the Arthurian legend. If you're familiar at all with the Arthurian legend, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight is a very popular tale, or a very famous tale from that whole collection of legends and tales. So, Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. Every winter, during the Yuletide festival, King Arthur and his Knights of the Round Table gathered in a grand hall to feast, sing, and tell the most wondrous of tales. One year, scarcely had the feast begun, when the oddest-looking man anyone had ever seen entered the hall on horseback. The horseman was the tallest knight in the land. He was very handsome, with gigantic limbs, a thick, broad chest, and a beard as large as a bush. He might have been the most handsome horseman on earth, but for one thing, he was green. From head to foot, his skin, hair, beard, and clothing were as green as emerald stones. His bridle was green, his saddle was green, and his horse was also green. He wore no armor and carried no spear or shield. In one hand, he held a green holly bough, and in the other, a great green axe. "Who is the leader of this feast?" he bellowed. The banquet guests could not even speak. Only King Arthur had the courage to answer the Green Knight. "Dismount from your horse, sir," he commanded, "and join our celebration." "I came not to feast," said the Green Knight, "but to prove the courage of your famous warriors." "Oh, if you seek to battle, there are many here that will take you up on your offer," said the king. The Green Knight laughed loudly. "I've not come to fight with beardless children," he shouted. "I come to play a sport. I challenge any of you to strike me with my own axe, on the condition that should I survive, next year at this time, I shall strike you back." "Give me your axe," said King Arthur, "and I shall grant your wish." The Green Knight dismounted from his horse. As he put his axe in the king's hand, the knights of the Round Table shouted their protest. "This is not a task for our king," said Sir Gawain, the youngest of all. "Let this fight be mine." "So be it," said King Arthur. As he gave the axe to Sir Gawain, he whispered, "Put such heart and hand in your stroke that he will never be able to pay you back." The Green Knight grinned at the young warrior. "First," he said, "on your honor, you must swear to seek me out in 12 months, and let me give back what I receive from you," the giant said. "I swear it," Sir Gawain replied, "on my honor." The Green Knight then bared his neck and waited to receive his due. Sir Gawain swung the heavy axe with all of his strength, and with one mighty blow, the sharp blade cut off the knight's head. There was a great cheer before silence fell upon the crowd, as laughter began to call throughout the hall. For the Green Giant did not die. He did not even flinch. Calmly and slowly he stood up, picked up his own head, and held it aloft like a lantern. Then he mounted his horse and rode out of the hall. The guests were stunned. Before the Green Knight has passed from sight, the severed head called out to Sir Gawain, "Remember, in a year's time, we meet again. You will find me on the day of New Year at the Green Chapel. Do not fail to keep your promise, or you will be dishonored." Even the bravest warrior shuddered. Preserving a knight's honor was the most important thing, even more important than preserving one's own life. All knew that in a year's time the Green Knight would cut off Sir Gawain's head. Over the next month, the young knight dreaded the passing of each day. He watched winter turn to spring, and spring to fall. On the eve of All Hallows, he knew it was time to begin his long journey. Sir Gawain bid farewell to his friends and kinsmen. Then, wearing full armor, he left Camelot and began to wander far and wide in search of the Green Knight. Sir Gawain climbed many hills, crossed many rivers. He valiantly escaped dangerous wild beasts and savage men. In the winter cold, he slept on naked rocks and endured the sleet and the snow. On Christmas Eve, Sir Gawain found himself lost in a great forest. No paths could be seen, no voices heard. He prayed for help. Then, as he raised his eyes, he saw, for the first time an opening between the trees. Through the opening, he spied a castle on a distant hilltop, shining in the glow of the waning winter light. Sir Gawain reached the castle before nightfall. The drawbridge was lowered, and the guards of the castle announced to their lord that a wayfarer had arrived. A tall, sturdy knight and his fair lady came out to greet Sir Gawain. They convinced the youth that he could not spend Christmas alone with the bears and the wolves, but he must join them for their holiday celebration. For 3 days, Sir Gawain stayed in the wonderful castle. As the day of the new year drew nigh, he told his hosts that he must leave soon, for he was bound by his honor to find the Green Knight.
Please stay just 3 more days, his host urged him, for the Green Chapel of the Green Knight is not far from here.
Surprised to discover that his journey was nearly over, Sir Gawain agreed to stay for 3 more days.
Wonderful, said his host. Now you must rest here at the castle while I go out to hunt, and let us have an agreement. Whatever you get each day shall be mine, in exchange for what I win in the woods.
Sir Gawain did not fully understand this agreement, but with good faith he went along with it. The next day, the lord of the castle left before daybreak with his huntsmen and hounds, while Sir Gawain rested in his chambers. Soon, the fair lady of the castle entered Sir Gawain's room. She confessed that she had fallen in love with him, and she begged him to take her away. I would be moot to say that Sir Gawain was tempted to do so, for indeed she was quite beautiful, and her words of flattery did touch his heart, but the knight's sense of honor forbade him to betray his host. So he told the fair lady that he could not do as she had asked. The lady only laughed merrily, and on her way out of his room, she gave him a quick kiss. That night, the lord of the castle returned with a deer and gave it to Sir Gawain. According to their agreement, the young man was supposed to turn over whatever he himself had gotten that day. So he gave the lord a quick kiss given to him by the fair lady. The next morning, the lord set out to hunt again. And again in his absence, his wife visited Sir Gawain and begged him to take her away with him. Again, the young knight fought hard against the temptation to do as she asked, and again his honor prevailed. The young lady only laughed merrily and gave him 2 quick kisses as she left. That night, the lord returned with a boar, and he gave it to Sir Gawain in exchange for 2 quick kisses the knight had received that day. The 3rd day was cold and clear. Once more, the lord went hunting, and once more, the lady tried to tempt their guest, but failed. This time, before leaving his chambers, she gave Sir Gawain a green silk belt fringed with gold. Know that whoever wears this belt has the power to make any weapon harmless, she said. Sir Gawain did not want to take her gift, as he did not think it honorable, but he was overwhelmed by the fear of losing his head to the Green Knight. So he accepted the magic belt in hopes that it would save his life. Later that day, the castle lord brought him home the skin of an old fox and gave it to the young knight. But this time, Sir Gawain did not keep his part of their agreement. He kept the green belt concealed and did not offer it to the lord of the castle. That night, Sir Gawain slept poorly, for the next day was the day that he had been dreading. Before the cock crowed, bringing in a stormy New Year's Day, he rose and carefully wrapped the green belt around his waist. Then he mounted his horse and set out to find the Green Knight through the wind and the snow. A servant led Sir Gawain towards the Green Chapel of the Green Knight. In the early gray twilight, the 2 climbed rugged cliffs and crossed dark moors. As the sun rose, the servant prepared to leave Sir Gawain at the mouth of a valley, winding
between the snow-capped hills. "If you are ready to be done with life," the servant said, "then ride down to the bottom of the valley, for there is the man you seek. For all the gold on earth, I would not go with you." The servant turned back, leaving Sir Gawain to ride on alone. The valley was bordered by steep stone cliffs. Look as he might, Sir Gawain did not see a chapel. He only saw the opening of a distant, dark cave. He tied his horse to a tree and climbed the snowy rocks until he reached the mouth of the cave. "Who dwells here?" he shouted. "Stand still," replied a deep voice above him. "Receive now what you have come for." A giant figure emerged from behind the rocks, bearing a mighty axe. It was the Green Knight, his head attached again to his shoulders. "Put down your spear," the Green Knight said. "Take off your helmet. Stand the blow I have owed you for these 12 months. Sir Gawain sighed. "I am ready," he said. Then he unlaced his helmet and leaned forward without fear, offering his bare neck to the steel blade. The Green Knight raised his axe high, then swung it through the air. Sir Gawain did not move as the sharp edge of the axe touched his neck. It gently pierced his skin, causing only a few drops of blood to sprinkle on the snow. And that was all. Stunned, Sir Gawain fell for his head. It was still there. He drew his sword and faced the knight. "One stroke have I taken," he said, "and that is all I will take, according to our agreement." The Green Knight turned towards him. His face was no longer green. In fact, it was the face of the lord of the castle Sir Gawain had visited. "Brave knight, be not angry," said the lord. "I had instructed my wife to tempt you, but you passed the test of faith and honor that every true knight must pass." Sir Gawain was confused by the generosity of the castle lord. "Cursed be my cowardice, for indeed I was false to my word," he said. "I kept this green belt from you." He unclasped the belt and held it out to his host. "Nay, you must keep it," said the castle lord. "I know already of this deceit, and have punished you for it. By slightly piercing your neck, you must keep it forever, to remind yourself of your adventure with the Green Knight." Sir Gawain hung his head sadly. "But this belt shall always remind me that I failed. I was a coward," he said. "Nay, not cowardice," the Lord said gently. "Let it remind you instead that you love life very much. It was this very love that caused you to conceal the green belt from me, so that you might live." The Lord then invited Sir Gawain back to his castle. But the young knight was eager to return home. He said his goodbye, and homeward he rode. Many days later, all of Camelot welcomed Sir Gawain with great joy, as if he had just returned from the dead. And that is the tale of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight. So today I got to share with you two of my favorite stories, and I'm actually very happy that I was able to. Each night, whenever I do these story times, I will tell 2 stories, or if I'm feeling a little saucy, I will do more than 2. Or if I'm feeling even saucier, I'll be telling you a novel, and I'll read a couple chapters a day. But either way, I wanted to thank you all for joining me tonight. This has been really great to get back into it. Please feel free to be willing to post anything in the chat box. Be willing to talk to me in any way, shape, or form. I'm always happy to hear from you. And I will be creating a follow page for Orion the Storyteller. I'm more than happy to take requests for various stories. There's many stories I've told in the past. There's many stories I have in my lexicon. But if you happen to have a very favorite fairy tale, I'm more than happy to read it for you.
I've been requested The List of the Beautiful before. Taylor Poe is a popular one. Beauty and the Beast, many different tales. I have so many different stories to tell you. One I almost read today, which I might read another time, is just, I'm going to show it right here because it made me happy when I thought about it. But I have plenty of tales that I love to tell, and I'd love to hear what you want me to say, what you would want me to tell. So thank you so much for joining me. I will be putting a Ko-Fi link if you're interested in tipping the bard. Always appreciated, never expected. But either way, thank you so much for joining me today, and I cannot wait to see you all again next week. So welcome back to Storytime with Orion. Thank you so much, and have a great day. Stay safe, spread love, and I'll see you again soon. Thank you.